Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mystery Theory. Today, it's another soft spoken Wednesday, and I will cover the case of what is known as the neighborhood monster. Today's case will transport us to Australia. It will open doors to some of their traditions and how it was used for this perpetrator's advantage. For those of you who are new here, welcome. If you enjoy the content, please remember to rate this video and leave a comment down below. If you're coming back, thank you. I appreciate your support and tuning in each week to learn about new cases on my channel. If you want to support my channel or want extra content, you can sign up for my Patreon, where you'll get 4 extra videos a month for $5. If you choose to you want to support the channel but you don't want to do Patreon, you can always sign up for the membership, and it's only I think it's $2.99 a month, and you'll get access to my videos without ads. Thank you so much for your support. Now let's get started with today's case. There will be background noise for those of you that really don't appreciate that, but they're working in a nearby property and they have some machines and stuff that is always in the quietness, the woods. The noise travels, and not much I can do since it's been super hot, and well, not super hot, but nice weather. Everyone is working on their to-do list. So, for those of you who don't know, the Melbourne Cup is an institution in Australia. It runs every year on the first Tuesday in November, and it's a horse race, but it's also a festival, a celebration, a tradition overall that goes all the way back to 1861. In the city of Melbourne and in many other parts of Victoria, Cup Day is an official holiday. Kind of stops everything, and the crowds are in the pubs or even glued to their televisions at work or at home, taking in the event. Julie Maybury wasn't really a huge horse racing fan, but like all of her countrymen, she was caught up in this fever on November 6, 1984. that afternoon, she went to her local pub in Melbourne, well, in a suburb of Melbourne called Preston. She didn't go alone. She took her neighbor, or came along, I should say, Lorna Simpson. They also dragged along with them Julie's daughter, Kylie. It's a pretty 6-year-old with a boyish bob hairstyle. She had some freckles across her nose, and she was not having the greatest day ever. She wanted to go to a birthday party, but her mom didn't allow her. Still, even she caught up in the moment as 10-1 shot Black Knight romped to victory. And the crowd was excited. So she was in a better mood when she left the pub with her mom and Lorna around 4:30 p.m. The trio walked together to Lorna's house, and they stayed just a little bit for about an hour when Julie decided that it was time to go home. But then she remembered something. She was supposed to get some sugar. So she reached in her purse, found 90 cents, and handed it to Kylie. She said, quote, "Run down to the supermarket and pick up a bag of sugar." She had done this before many times, talking about Kylie, but this time would be her last. The supermarket was about 150 yards away on Plenty Road. 5 minutes each way for Kylie. But when she took longer, Julie began to worry. 25 minutes after she left, around 5:40 p.m., she was so worried that she went out looking for her. The clerk confirmed that she went to a store to get the sugar. Desperate, Julie and Lorna started walking the streets, asking everyone. And somebody was deeply concerned. She said that she'd seen a little girl with a bob hairstyle getting into a white Holden station wagon. That is when Julie called the police. A search was launched that night, a search that continued into the hours of the night, and nothing came out of it. But around 12:45 a.m., they got really bad news. An off-duty firefighter had found a child's body lying in a gutter on Tyler Street, in an area the police had previously searched. And it was confirmed it was Kylie Mabry. The little girl had been raped and strangled. They found traces of diazepam, which is a powerful sedative. Till she was drugged. To be honest, I thought that it was one of the best parts of this horrible thing. I hope she didn't have to go through it with all her senses. Police suspected that she'd been unconscious when these horrible things happened to her. The police immediately had a suspect, and it was a local man. The fact that the body showed up in a place that they already searched suggested that it had been hidden somewhere nearby and probably dragged out after dark. The police also believe that Kylie must have known her killer, since she appeared to have gone with him willingly. So maybe a friend or a relative. They were looking into Kylie's grandfather, John Moss. He had a very long questioning session, and it was so terrible for him that he ended up taking his own life in 1985. But then the police switched its attention to Kylie's uncle, Mark Mabry. He too was driven to taking his own life because of the horrible allegations. In the police department, there's this thing that they believe that if a murder goes unsolved in the first 48 hours, it's likely to remain that way. Maybe because of the year, the time that this was happening. And it was kind of cold. However, it remains undoubtedly true that time is not the investigator's friend. It was really hard to try to solve this one. By the year 1990, the Victoria Police, looking into known pedophiles who may have been in the area. One of them was Robert Arthur Lowe. This guy was a piece of garbage who not only raped but also killed his victims. However, he was cleared when his DNA profile did not match what was retrieved from Kylie's clothing. They continue to question offenders, and they were following a strategy employed by law agencies. So they didn't know. So looking to everyone, really. sometimes it yields results to suspect everyone. And in this case, it would definitely work for Kylie's case. However, again, the police decided to ignore the obvious suspects sitting right under their noses for whatever reason. Gregory Keith Davis was 41 years old in the year 1984. He lived with his mom a few houses away from Kylie's house. He had a long criminal history in the 60s. He had some fraud, larceny, and sexual offenses against children. Then in 1971, he attacked a 14-year-old girl with a hammer. Didn't kill her, but it was very close to that. Anyway, when he was arrested for that crime, he admitted he had planned on abusing this girl. But he was found not guilty of attempted murder by reason of insanity. He was sent to a secure hospital where he would stay until November 1982. After that, he arrived in Preston and moved in with his mother. Kylie was living less than 100 yards away. And when he moved to the neighborhood, she was only 4 years old. So why wasn't he questioned? Well, he was questioned. Detectives spoke to him just 2 days after Kylie was killed. But he had an alibi backed up by his mother. It is not, I'm not sure whether, the police asked the car that he drove. Because if they would have done that, they would have learned that his ride was a white Holden station wagon. Many years later, in 2016, the Victoria Police began looking into several old cases. One of them, Kylie's. Actually, that was the spotlight, really, of this old keys kind of project. Since they had biological substance from the guy that was removed from Kylie's underwear, they looked into that to find a DNA match. Several of the suspects were asked to provide a saliva sample, and Gregory Davis was among those. Gregory Keith Davis was arrested because there was a match. He was living in Waterford Park in June 2016. He was charged with rape and murder of Kylie Mabry. Now this piece of garbage was 73 years old at the time and did not deny. But instead, he said that he did not remember, which is a lie in my opinion. Experts say that a killer like this replays what they did over and over in his mind for pleasure. He entered a guilty plea and accepted the sentence that was handed down to him. Life in prison with a minimum of 28 years. He would be eligible for parole in 2045 when he is 101 years old. He spent the time in solitary confinement for his own protection, of course. Pedophiles and child killers are not the favorite people in prison. So if you hate them, let me reassure you that even criminals hate them too. His case was highly publicized, so everyone knew what he looked like and where he was at. On July 23rd, 2017, while awaiting trial at Port Phillip Prison, he was attacked by two inmates who held him down and poured scalding hot water over his genitals. He suffered severe burns and required skin grafts over 15% of his body. However, I must agree that it's hard to feel sympathy for somebody who commits a horrible act like he did. No, I would never be the person doing it, but I can only imagine you being in jail, criminal, able to do things that maybe others don't dare. So this kind of protection that they're granted when they do these horrible things, to be honest, the solitary confinement, I feel like it's even a worse experience for those that have to do nothing with their time by themselves. Nothing but be in their own heads. So such a horrible case. I can't imagine how the mom must have felt like when she realized that if she would have forgotten about that sugar, maybe her daughter would still be around. Needless to say, he could have found some other opportunity and he might have planned the whole thing. So I don't know if she didn't, she wouldn't send her daughter because it was late or whatever. I can't say that I'm sure this wouldn't have happened anyways. I had a really weird experience a couple of weeks ago, and something went missing from, I can't give much details, but from this place that I frequent, and it was my son, so I had to go through security footage with other people that is in charge of that. And I can only tell you how something like that shakes you up in a way that you kind of feel violated and looking over your shoulder. It was an opportunity kind of crime, what happened in my case, but it keeps me on my toes, and it makes me pay attention now. However, when everything goes right, and whenever you frequent places like a friend's house, like whatever places you frequent, and you feel safe, it's hard to imagine the worst case scenario. Such a terrible ending. A guy that ended up living his life for years and years after he committed the crime. I don't think that a little bit of boiling water in his genitals really did it for him. I didn't look up if he's still alive. Really didn't. I was kind of pissed, really, after researching this cold case that was recently solved. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you believe it's some kind of earthly vengeance or justice? What happens, Angel? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for being here today, guys. I appreciate it. Come back on Friday for a whispered true crime case. Talk to you guys next time. Bye, guys.